Hello, hello, good people. You good person, welcome to tonight's class. I'm going to dedicate this class to Linda, who I talked to this week and is struggling with, besides moving from a flooded apartment, moving all her things out so that they can come and fix her apartment, and then having a house that also flooded. Wow, like when it rains, it pours, literally. Her wrists are hurting, now wearing a brace. So I thought, let's do a lesson for repetitive stress injury, wrist, specifically for the wrist. And that's what we're going to do tonight. This lesson is also fabulous for neck and shoulder pain or tension, and who doesn't have that? So this is one that's simple enough for you to remember the components, and you can revisit any of these, the small parts that you can remember from the lesson. You can revisit them and do a little bit, each day, especially if you're struggling with tension, do a little bit each day of just anything you can remember. And you'll see what a difference it makes, not only for your feeling of tension, but I hope you know by now, and I'll keep reminding you, that when we renovate the relationships between the parts of our bodies and the whole, the center of the body, it changes our posture. It changes the way we stand. It changes how we balance our weight over ourselves. It changes how we walk and how we move. So I just want to always amplify for you that your vision, even when we work on small parts of the body or specific parts of the body, it's always in service to a change in ourselves as a whole. And that really is how this work works. So let's start sitting, and you can sit however you want. It really doesn't matter. If you want to go and sit in a dining room chair that's flat with your feet on the floor and do the first part of this lesson, which we'll do sitting, sitting in something that's maybe more comfortable for you than the floor. If the floor isn't comfortable for you, you can do that. Also, if floor sitting is not easy without something under your tush, put something under your tush. So you can put a nice cushion, you can put a couple of blankets, you can put a stack of books, anything that makes it easier for you to sit with your legs crossed. You don't need to look like me when your legs are crossed. You're going to be like you. But the idea is that at least you can be upright enough to do the first part of this lesson. So let's begin. So you're going to take your left arm and extend it in front of you. And you can open your hand so that your thumb is kind of pointing upwards and your fingers are pointing towards the wall in front of you. And put your arm at shoulder height. So if you were to put your arm above shoulder height, you can feel actually it's a little bit more effort. It feels different to hold your arm above shoulder height than at shoulder height. So find what's really like a straight arrow from your shoulder, straight in front of you, and begin to rotate your arm, your whole arm, inward. Inward means inward relative to your body, so internally. And if you look at your thumb, you can see your thumb begins to go more in the direction of the floor and then continues around. It's almost like there's this invisible little circle that you're rotating your arm around about halfway. So do this a few times and see if you can really keep your fingers and your wrist quiet. And if you sense the lines, the 5 lines that we've talked about before, the 2 arms, the 2 legs, and then the spine line. Those are the 5 lines. Feel the line of your arm. So all the way from the fingers up through the lower arm, up to the top of your arm, all the way up to your shoulder. And now put your arm down and just rest for a minute. And then extend your right arm in front of you and open the fingers like a handshake. And rotate this, let me just say, the arm is at shoulder height, right? A straight arrow from your shoulder through to your fingers. And now begin to rotate the arm inward. And I recommend you look at your arm and see as you feel what direction inward is. Rotating the arm internally. And you can see also the direction the thumb goes when you rotate the arm internally. And see if you can really keep your fingers quiet. Like I can feel as I go at a certain point, my thumb wants to start to kind of take lead of the movement. I can feel that. So notice what you feel. What are your fingers or your wrists try to do? Because one of the things about having stress injuries in the wrists is that we're doing in the wrists what really needs to be done all the way up at the joint of the shoulder, and then in relationship to what the shoulder's attached to. So feel the direction that your shoulder goes as you rotate your arm internally. And it's not important how far your arm goes inward, but just that you're making the direction of the movement. That's always the most important thing. You're just looking to move in that direction. It's not about how far. And I said many times before, less is more. So go gently, slowly, and you'll feel more and more what else happens when you move. And that's enough. Let your arm rest. It's going to be super important as we do this lesson that you monitor yourself. And as soon as you feel tired, if you feel like it's hard to hold your arm up and keep doing that movement, put your arm down, rest, and come back. You can listen. If you're resting and I'm talking, just listen and just imagine yourself doing what we're doing, and then join in when you're ready. Remember, this is brain work. So now bring the left arm again straight in front of you, and just a few times slowly rotate it inward, just to reconnect again to the arm line, all the way from the fingers up to the shoulder. Feel what happens as you rotate inward at your shoulder. What does your shoulder do? How does it move? Also notice if, when you go inward, you feel a change in where your arm goes in space. Like maybe your arm lowers down, maybe it goes out to the side. Since you can see your arm, you can actually see what it's doing. See if you more and more, you can just try to keep it in the same location where it is in space. And maybe you've noticed something different happens in your shoulder when you do that. So now the next time you rotate the arm inward, keep it there. Take your other arm, rotate it inward, and cross it over the left arm. You got a little cross, and now interlace your fingers and rotate your arms a little one way and a little the other way. And this movement is not about your wrists, so really find the whole line of your arm. The whole line of your arm. From the fingers up the arm to the shoulders. So you're rotating a little one way and the other. And do you notice something happening? not just in your shoulders, but in your ribs, maybe in your waist, in your collarbones. And that's enough. And gently release your hands, uncross your arms, and rest in sitting. And as you rest, just notice what you feel, the sensations in your shoulders, your upper back, down your arms to your fingers. Okay. And now take the right arm again in front of you and arrange your hand as if you were shaking someone's hand. The arm is shoulder height. And just a few times, rotate the arm inward, but do it so that you watch the arm and see if you can keep it where it is in space. Keep it where it is in space as if you're rotating around a point. And the next time you rotate, again, go to what's comfortable for you, no farther than that. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. Then hold that spot, take the other arm, rotate it inwards and cross it over. And this time interlace your fingers in your non-habitual way. So that means move your fingers one notch over what feels like you would do naturally. And it kind of almost feels like, to me, it feels like somebody else is holding on to my hands, like I'm holding a stranger's hand or something. Okay? Then you know you're in the right zone because it feels kind of weird. And now, it's a small movement, right? Rotate the arms a little bit one way and a little bit the other way. And feel the lines of the arms, the lines of the arms, the lines of the arms, all the way to the shoulder. And then feel what happens in the ribs. And don't do too much. Just do a little and let it go. And now come onto your back and rest. You might notice just how you're breathing, the quality of your breathing. And now you can bend your knees and place your feet standing. And first, just feel the back of your left shoulder blade in relationship to the floor. So just feel, bring your attention there to the left shoulder blade. And then, so you know that's there by bringing your awareness to it. And now bend your left elbow, but keep your wrist really soft. So it just hangs, your wrist just hangs. Bend your left elbow until your lower arm is standing in the air. And then gently bring your wrist upright so the fingers point towards the ceiling. And now peel your elbow off the floor and your upper arm and bring the arm up towards the ceiling so that the arm is standing on the shoulder blade. So you have your arm towards the ceiling, but your shoulder blade is on the floor. And just like when you were sitting, bring the hand as if you wish to shake someone's hand, and that someone, I guess, would be on the ceiling at this point. So the fingers are standing up, and just easy with your hand. And now gently begin to rotate the arm inward. And then return it. So you'll see your thumb moving in space. The thumb begins to move in the direction of your feet and then around the lower edge of the circle. And you're rotating. It's a rotation, right? You're not rotating, it's a twisting of the arm. It's a twisting of the arm so that the thumb moves around an invisible circle in space. We've done so much of circling in the last few weeks and learning the pelvic clock, using that image of a clock. You can use it probably in every lesson, actually. But you can definitely use it here. See if you can just keep your fingers soft, though. So you may see your fingers trying to stiffen, your hand reaching or grabbing or something like that. Just reduce your effort, slow down, and just move quietly. You know, a baby's first toy, so to speak, is her own hand. The discovery of the hand for the baby is a miraculous event. Maybe you imagine you've never looked at your hand quite like this before. It's interesting. And now try doing this movement, but letting the wrists just hang. So the same movement, but now the fingers are hanging down a little more. And feel how the rotation of the arm, how does it translate to your shoulder blade that's on the floor? What do you feel your shoulder blade doing relative to the floor? Do you feel it rotating? Or is it doing something else? And do you feel like your arm starts moving in space when you rotate? Does your arm go like a little bit leaning in or leaning out? I know mine does. I have to really pay attention to keep my arm straight up and down, vertical. And now let your elbow come down to the floor. Just keep your wrists soft the whole time as you lower your arm down to the floor. And then lower your legs. And just rest. And feel the difference between your left arm and your right arm. Notice if you feel a difference. The left shoulder and the right shoulder. And bring your feet to stand again. And this time peel your right forearm away from the floor. Keep the wrists soft as you peel the arm until the lower arm is standing on the elbow. And now peel from the elbow to the shoulder blade until your arm is straight up and down and your right shoulder blade is resting on the floor. And then make your fingers long and your wrists long as if you're going to shake somebody's hand. And gently, just start with a small movement. Just let go of your attachment to size, quantity, and let's go right for quality. Letting the quality be soft, slow, so that you can really luxuriate in your what I call feeling attention. It's feeling and attention together. And that's the magic sauce here at Movie Studio. It's the sensory motor connection. Feeling and doing. And maybe you notice when you move with this kind of quality, it's almost like your sensitivity wakes up. You can feel more sooner. Feel how the movement of the rotating arm, the arm rotating inward, how does that feel under your shoulder blade? How do you feel your shoulder blade moving relative to the floor? And if you wanted to go a little bit further without any more effort, but you wanted to rotate a little further, you feel something else waking up, moving, maybe your clavicle or under your armpit or on the side of your ribs. If you wanted to go further, you can assume, I'm going to give you a hint. If you want to make a bigger movement, it means that more of your body is going to come with you. It's like a current. As it gets larger, it draws more from the stream. It pulls. See if you can feel just that there's that feeling of more of you coming along. Not more effort, but just there's more of you, but still easily. And then do it a few times with your wrist just hanging down. So you have these lovely, delicate fingers. And by the way, we're not rotating the arm outward. We're just taking it like from the middle and inward, right? Make sure you are. And now you can keep your wrist hanging. Let the elbow sink down to the floor. Let the forearm sink down. Lengthen your legs. And rest. And now bring your feet to stand again. Peel the left forearm off the floor and then the elbow. So you're always leaning on a joint. Can you feel that there's this leaning on your own bones to carry the weight until your arm is in the air? Geez, if you were like a puppeteer, this would be an awesome lesson for you. Bring the fingers towards the ceiling. Rotate the arm inward. And now take your other arm and peel it off and bring it up. Make sure you're standing on your shoulder blades. Your arms are standing on your shoulder blades. Rotate the right arm inward. Cross it over the left and interlace your fingers. And now 2 arm lines are attached to each other. Begin to rotate the arms a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right. Little, so you're not, again, looking for quantity, you're looking for connection. And you're looking for a connection that has a quality of ease. Your approach is easy because we're not attaching to a specific outcome. We're just stepping into a process and creating that process so that it's enjoyable and interesting. And it feels good. And when you work with yourself from that place, that is what induces change. That's what makes it possible to suddenly be able to go a little farther with just as much ease. More and more connections being made between the brain and the instrument of the brain, which is your body. If it doesn't move, your brain doesn't know it exists. If you can't feel it, it's as if it doesn't exist. Work with what you can feel, and that feeling will spread. Are you starting to feel it spread? Are you starting to feel a little bit of as if the movement is traveling further down the sides of your ribs? Maybe even a little movement in your hip joints. And now pause that, release your hands and bring one arm down at a time and rest. You may notice as more and more, with each variations, we release more and more contractions, chronic contractions. And if you start to feel like your bones are making more contact with the floor, that's a sign of more and more letting go of those tiny little contractions that we just get habituated into. It's relaxing, isn't it? Bend your knees, place your feet standing. Peel your right arm. First the lower arm, and then take the arm straight up towards the ceiling, the fingers towards the ceiling. Your right shoulder standing on the floor, and rotate the arm inward. And then keep it there. Bring your left arm up, rotate it inward, and cross it over the left wrist, and then interlace your fingers in your non-habitual way. And now gently rotate the arms a little left and a little right, and just, again, let the movement evolve. How far left and right? Only as far as it feels easy and comfortable right now, where you can just have this feeling of softness. That could be so tiny. All that matters is that you feel, let me say that you use this opportunity to use your feeling sense. Can you feel the subtle movements between your shoulder blades? Maybe at the base of your neck. You might notice where you tend to use your wrist to do the movement instead of the whole arm to the shoulders to the ribs. Keep doing that movement, but try it with your legs long and just see if it gives you some different feedback. Did you know your shoulder joint it has the most degrees of possible movement than any other joint in your body? It has the possibility of 180 degrees of movement. Most of us are not leveraging that capacity. And let that go and rest. And now, when you're ready, bring your feet to stand. And we're just going to do one more variation. One more little series of variations. Bring your arms out to the sides. And just make really soft fists with your fingers. Just fold your fingers in gently. And rotate your arms forward. And then rotate your arms backwards and lift your pelvis at the same time. And do that a few times. Rotate your arms forward. And then when you rotate your arms backwards, lift your pelvis. And now when you rotate your arms forward, lift your head. And when you rotate your arms backward, lift your pelvis. And just go back and forth like that, really looking to keep your arms straight out to the sides. You can look at your arms. For many people, including myself, the arms will want to kind of slide down or move where they are. Just see if you can really keep them straight out to the sides, not with force, just with attention. Good, that's enough. And then bring your arms down and bring your legs down. Take a rest. And then when you're ready, come to sit back up. I told you this would be a pretty simple lesson. The simple ones actually I find are incredibly powerful. There's something about the elegance of the simplicity of the lesson to me. that makes the learning like clearer somehow. So let's go back where we started. Lift the left arm out in front of you as if you're shaking someone's hand. Rotate the arm inward and feel what it's like now. Is it different? Is it easier? Do you go farther? Is it clearer? Is it softer? Is there more of a connection between the rotation of your arm and what you feel in your shoulder blade and your upper back? And now take the other arm and cross it. And just a few times, rotate both arms and feel if that feels clear. Wow, for me, it really, there's a clarity. There's a clarity in what my arms are connected to, not just the shoulders, but I can really feel the ribs moving. This is what I call anti-aging. The ribs moving do magic to everything, your breath, your face, your tension, your sense of self. And of course, your ability to use these elegant fingers and wrists. So now take the other arm, right arm forward, little handshake, rotate it inward, and feel if that's easier. Or again, if the quality's changed, it can be quality, a change in the quality, a change in the quantity. It's a pretty unusual movement, actually. And do you also feel like that when you rotate the arm forward, there's a sense of like a little bit of a lengthening in your shoulder joint, like it moves a little bit forward. And now rotate it and add the other arm and go back and forth. Again, feel that movement in the ribs. Wow. And also, you see it's functional. There's a relationship between the way you use your arm and the way you use the center of the body. And if you only use your arm, your hand and your wrist to grab, and these little muscles here to grab, and you don't translate the weight or the movement to the shoulder, the ribs, the back, then this little wrist gets so stiff and the fingers get very stiff. So if you're struggling with that, and I know I'm thinking of some very specific people who are, this is a fabulous lesson. I hope you feel the difference. And of course, you'll have it to explore for the week. So do that. Explore it again. Thank you so much for being here. And every day, in every way, you're getting better and better. See you next week.